Hey, this is Misery Loves Company, a weekly social reading series hosted by miserytourism.com. Every Friday, we welcome outsider and transgressive writers to share their work with us, and it's Friday, so let's get fucking started here. Rudy, you're up first.
I'm not transgressive. I'm not outsider.
No, you're not.
No, I'm a
You
mainstream, a very mainstream writer who only writes things for um
cash
people
money.
who are serious and cash money and serious about
Okay, I'm sorry I
hashtag
misrepresented.
writing community.
I'm sorry I misrepresented you, man.
But anyway, here's my offensive video game poems part two. And shit, I should probably, you know what? Fuck it. I don't even have the account up, so I can't tweet myself. I'm not gonna tweet my own thing though. So whatever.
You know, he's just tweeted out after you're done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'll do.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are. Oh, and also I apologize. Goddamn Canadians have started wildfires in order to destroy America. So, I'm
Man,
coughing.
do you think it's just to ruin 4th of July for America?
It's literally just to
If
ruin 4th of July.
if any of our fucking
It's
Canadians were here, I would accuse them of that. I would, Mullane, Josh, wherever you
Ryan is
fucking
here.
are, it's your fault. All right, man.
Oh, I apologize. I'm kind of coughing. So these are some poems about video games I played as a kid and maybe an adult too. Verse one is called Quest for Glory, Shadows of Darkness. Me and the friends spent a lot of our 12th summer immersed inside a faraway Slavic hellworld, which was itself inside a too close screen. Hashtag stand with Ukraine. And did a lot of puzzles, some throwing a blue flame at Vorpal rabbits, jaws unhinged, back when Gypsy was probably acceptable to say, and tarot was just cool cards detailed in EVGA style instead of a Jim Brown poke in the third eye. Third eye blind wasn't here yet, so it was Nirvana, just Zen puzzling and pixel hunt shenanigans and ends in the crypts of the Boyar. Oh boy, are these graphics really silly, vibrant. My enthusiasm was buoyant while I explored Mordavian wilderness, sinking feeling when I first encountered Rusalka. Her face, a crude map of Eastern Europe drawn by Sex Taurus. Her body, a riddle of flesh. What the fuck does Rusalka mean anyway? I guess it means you are not going to play this game ever again. There is, quote unquote, a fucking naked woman in it. Mom's words. Dad's chuckle. Who made this? Some kind of pedagogue pedophiles, my language exchange, Russ, Alk. 1 week later, I was conditionally back on my glorious quest. Just stay out of the water. After I pointed to the ESRB rating, kids to adults. This next one is about EverQuest. Oh, sorry. One of my guild officers in EverQuest 1 asked me if I was a boy or a girl. I danced around the answer. My character was a female human necromancer. Whenever this officer asked, I would say, not telling. One time I made up some shit about soccer practice, lel, to get out of the conversation. One time I sent him the high hold pass, combine XPing diplomacy mission with another Hummy guild to avoid him talking to me about it. One time we were in Blackborough. Lord Elgnub and his flash entourage descended while we were talking gender, saying, humans like you have ruined your own lands. Necromancers eventually unlocked Ebolt, a powerful damage over time spell, but I never saw the 40s or 50s. As pumices crumbled to dust, I left Karana to go play on Valenczek PvP. My necro wore a black robe, and I wish I had her straight red hair and big eyes. I'm a fucking faggot for not playing Ultima Online. This one is called EverQuest Ruins of Canard. It's amazing how different a 50th level character is from a 60th one. In power, it's almost generational. A zoomer versus a boomer. Kern's Tower is where I first experienced true lonely fun. In my room/prison, server pop of 9890, but loneliness is king here, king and jester. I camp the jester in Kern's, camping, a lonely activity in any context. He appeared rarely, like good grades on chemistry tests or relatives. Black and white printed wanted poster of the jester on my wall, his 1.5K platinum club in hand. He always kept me waiting. You're mine, son, the poster said. But obviously, you know that it's your, is what my dad said, chuckling. To this day, I have never been to a rock show. You couldn't have drafted me to go see Blink, or even the Beatles, not with a lottery, not with that many people that into something so socially acceptable, novelty-seeking me, social retard me. If Project 100,000 was done in 2000, and its goal, instead of creating a surge in Vietnam, was get 100,000 socially retarded men laid, I would have dodged it like Ali bobbed and weaved, like the Ixar monk who stole 3 jester camps from me dodged or parried every attack I put out. Nowadays, I'd probably go, whatever. Retard jail is too full. Ali was the goat, with the cooped up lightning that electrocuted butterflies in my stomach, butterflies that might have spurred ambition or at least motivation. Ha, academics is gone now. So please, Mr. INT judge, just let Thunder go with an appearance ticket. This one is called EverQuest: The Scars of Ilias. And yeah, it's just gonna keep going. Oh, sorry, these are all EverQuest expansions, by the way. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the perfect response for how there are, I believe, 23 EverQuest expansions. That's the perfect response to that. It's criminal, really. So this one is called EverQuest: The Scars of Ilias. There should be a Japanese word for the feeling I get while walking through crystal caverns, and a similar one for the euphoria of player killing in crystal caverns. I don't know Japanese, so I'll admit a word. Rudibatsu. Lord, I apologize if that's already a Japanese word, but it probably isn't. I'm not a beauty and lyricism poet. No, I specialize in a form much uglier, but catching an imagined reflection of my female halfling rogue character in the geode shards found in CC. Keyword imagined. Oh, sorry. Because lol, there were no shaders in 2001. That reflection looked like me. It looked beautiful. Even with the Mask of Deception proc that made her a white-haired darky, I guess, especially with that, since dark elves and their more ebony cousins, the Drow, are just evil black people. That reflection, a mental picture of my character catching her own image in pixelated crystal, makes me think of the time my mom broke my Scars of Ilias CD-ROM. She was pissed. Another instance where I could see myself in some fragments. Yeah, sorry, I'm just coughing up the storm here. This last one here, excuse me. This is called EverQuest: The Shadows of Luckland, which is another EverQuest expansion pack. When I got home from school on September 11th, oh, good start, eh? I went straight to my pretend world, a world where I could pretend to be a high elven wizard, or pretend to be a black academic from a fantasy historic black university who sacrificed their humanity for arcane knowledge Shout out to Al Kabor. And pretend to have a normal, healthy response to the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Oh, excuse me. My guild master was in New York City at the time. So was my brother, Lowell. I got on Alakazam, an EverQuest item database, and the front page had a picture of Trachanon, the Necro Dragon, that was user captioned with something like, "Him look like my boss, Osama bin Laden, fuck the USA." And I laughed deep. Jesus fucking Christ. What kind of transition is the word Lowell 5 lines above this one? Lord God, I'm a misfit. Earlier that day, Mr. D's French class, my mom appeared while the TVs were blasting CNN and said, "Rudy, this isn't funny, you know." My mom was the teacher at the school. I went to the bathroom and smirked hard with a friend. "I know," I said. I was in a scenic moon city in EverQuest, Catacastone, listening to my guild master describe what New York City was like that day. Black clouds filled with human remains. My mind is associating with the wrong characters. Necromancers, dragons, death dealers, suicides. Nori, black clouds blaring on my Winamp all night. My personality's modus operandi, an ostensible empathy extinguisher. Detach in case of emergency. Anyway, it took less guys to do the terror attack in New York City than it did to kill certain EverQuest bosses. Now, I'm vividly picturing Muhammad Atta and his boys sitting on that flight, focusing their righteous Islamic flame. Like raiders focus fire on a big creature. Dude's just preparing to turn a 747 into a fucking weapon of rage. Alter plane hate. And that's it.
Man, first of all, the coughing actually added to that last one, especially when you were talking about like the New York City during 9/11 and the clouds of human remains and stuff. But man, I love what you're doing with these, and you need to keep doing this because this is a fucking great conceit. And what I really love about these poems is the little hints we get of like your mom and your dad and their character and their personality. Like this is becoming a kind of memoir by way of poetry, by way of video games thing, which is like really a really cool fucking project. Of this batch, that last one, the Shadows of Luceland one is definitely my favorite. Probably just because I'm a sucker for 9/11 shit, but also because I love the contrast of like what's happening in the fantasy world and like what's happening in reality, and the inability to emotionally process on any fucking level what's happening in reality, right, but the deep emotional attachment to what's going on in the fantasy world. It's a really, I don't know, it's a really sharp contrast, and it's a theme that pops up in a lot of your work, but I feel it really comes through in this poem because you have that touchstone of the moment that everyone in our generation, everyone who was alive at that moment, there's this kind of like cultural, historical, emotional touchstone around 9/11 that we can all resonate with, and having access to that helps like really bring out, like helps your detachment really click in that poem, and also just some of the shit's just really, really funny. I love, even though you've told me this story before, when your mom has to tell you when you're watching the 9/11 on the news in school and your mom is there to tell you, Rudy, this isn't fucking funny. like a cardinal moment in your life. Like if like I had to explain Rudy Johnson to another person and could only use one anecdote, I think I would use that one. Because not just like the idea that you would find it amusing, but that your mom was somehow present there at the school to lecture you for it seems so appropriate too. Uh, anyway,
Yeah.
man, these are all really fucking good. That
Well,
troll who interrupted you, he was
yeah, no, thanks, man. Thanks, buddy.
he's gone now, but he was pissed because he
Yeah.
had like 5 of his buddies in the waiting room I wasn't letting in. He was
Oh,
sending me direct messages like, "Hey, can you let this guy in and this guy in?" And I was like, "No, I know you're a troll. I'm not letting your fucking buddies in." uh, anyway,
no,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, I just, my parents, feature prominently in this collection, probably, I guess, because the one about the first one there, Shadows of Darkness, which I think I told you before too. That was about me getting banned from playing a shitty adventure game because it had nudity in it. And that
Right,
was
right.
like, I don't know about formative experience is, but yeah, that's some of mine, I guess. Yeah. Anyway,
Cody,
thanks.
you should keep plugging away until you have
Yeah,
one for like every game you've ever played. I want to see the
that's
fucking deep cuts, like some PS1 game that like only 6 people played or something.
oh yeah, Unholy War is gonna get one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait,
Uh,
wait.
yeah, thank you, man. And Keko's up next.
Uh, Hi. Just a moment.
Hey man, nice to see you again.
Hi. As I've said to William, I'm here to bring some diversity to Misery Tourism. Now you can get the funds you need to stay unemployed and everything, because I'm going to read in Croatian 2 poems. I mean, I want to do this for a while now, and I'll put the link so you all can read, because I'm sure you all can read Croatian, because you're educated people. And yeah, so it'll be just a couple of minutes. I just want to say that I'm glad this is the first time William won't be able to say something nice in a precise way. So yeah. The first one is called Pod palmom. Pod ladovinom palminom moj pijat gled desertna ikra. Trlja se mesom, trlja zubnim, vidi u ruci periska. Maska u luci, malom lovri, barbari na licu smijeh. Babi upućen osmijeh na licu, gled perika. A palmino lišće buja, širi se kao mijeh. Dok ne otkloni bava blago sjene, te u žareni me pogodi top. Tad užasne čuh, urlike i krike i krš bitnosti mi svijeh. Iznad kuće ladovinom se širi korijenja snop. Ruje ustrajno i gradi, gurkajući kuću izbivši ovlaš. Raste gromada za majmune da se veru s palme u sobu mi na žilavu granu. Oni pršteći iznad ruševine kuće s monolitne odašilju palme urlik i krik. Po takvom mišlju, jezivom vizijom, kako ladovini da se podaš. Periska malog lovre, ponos neki stanani, da ustane me nagna po stari školjaka plik. And the second one, I translated to English also. Yeah. Društvo citira, ja bilježim društvenu sadašnjost. Preko rijeke stoji šuma, dok s ove strane jedan mali cvijet, nježan i lijep kako to samo cvijet može biti, obojan svjetlom i vedrim nebom, pokraj rijeke raste. Majka košuta ga časti pridjevom, prije nego li k rijeci priđe. Otac orao ga tapše ohrabrom, oštrim okom udara na rijeku. Cvijet je lijep i krasan što prkosi kiši, vjetru i buri. Majka košuta se saginje nad rijeku, i njenom odrazu lik je lijep. A otac orao vidi 8 riba, te sebe kao njihov put do neba. Kako da cvijet koji je lijep ne poželi svoga odraza u ovoj rijeci? Preko rijeke stoji šuma. Vidim se, reče cvijet, lijevo nježan kao breza, desno snažan poput bora, onamo sam tužna vrba, dobri, mudri hrast i prije svega cvijet što vam usto svoj pozdrav šalje. So that's it. I hope you enjoy.
Man, so I think this is the first time, I could be wrong, and Rudy can correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the first time someone has read a foreign language work at Misery Tourism. I mean, you obviously have read works that were originally in Croatian that you translated, and I think a few other people might have read translated works, but I think this is the first time that we've had an actual foreign language reading, and that's fucking awesome. And of course, I did not understand a fraction of a syllable of that. Do you want to tell us, like, are these poems you read before in their original Croatian, or are these, do you want to tell us anything about the two poems?
I mean, I've never read in Croatian ever, so this is actually the first time I read in Croatian. So yeah, but the second one I've translated. The second one is I don't know. It's perhaps the favorite poem I wrote, the favorite to me, and yeah, and the first one I haven't translated because it's a bit hard for me to translate the first one. It's like it kind of depends on the language a lot, and it kind of leans on it perhaps in some moments too much. I mean, it's something like a bit of a kind of I mean, I can't find the word because I'm totally exhausted because they're really draining me at my job. So yeah, but it's like a sonnet, but not a sonnet. Let's say it like that. Yeah.
Man, it's awesome. You should read. I know that currently, like, your job basically means you can't get here very, very often. But when you're able to start coming back and reading again, you should start reading a mix of Croatian poems and English poems. I think it's awesome, and I thought about plugging them into Google Translate to try to figure out like the content of them, but then I was like, no, I just wanted to like feel the language, you know, and it's just kind of like, I don't know if you've ever tried to watch a foreign film with the subtitles off and just tried to like soak in the atmosphere of the thing without like language being an obstacle, without understanding being an obstacle. But sometimes it's just like a cool experience to let the sound of language wash over you without knowing what the fuck you're hearing. But anyway, man, that was fucking rad.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Gigi is telling me that that Google Translate was no help.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, thank you, man. It was nice to have you back again, too.
Yeah, me too. And I'm glad I kind of continued Rudy's mention of Slavic.
Yeah.
In the I think in the first poem. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right, with the naming stuff in the first poem.
Yeah. So
Gecko,
this is
you
the
rock.
Slavic, yeah, this is the Slavic language. One of them. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, man. Oh, Rudy, did you have something to say about? Oh no, I guess you muted.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that Gecko was awesome
Oh,
and brings a much needed diversity to Misery Loves Company. Or yeah, you know, we only have English, primarily have English speaking people. Occasionally, you might have somebody speaking, you know, Drow or some Conming, I guess.
well, you have some Canadians here who are, I suppose,
yeah.
supposed to be
Right.
bilingual, right?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Also, Ryan, I'm sorry I didn't mention you when I was blaming the Canadians earlier. I forgot you were here, man. But yeah, you're responsible too. Anyway, Coleman is up next, and then there's no one on the docket after Coleman. So once again, if you want to read, put it in the chat. All right, Coleman, the floor is all yours.
Thanks. I'm going to be reading some Senryu from my pamphlet coming out, and then I'm going to do a couple of kaiju poems. So yeah, thank you. There's no such thing as a six-legged spider unless you are cruel. Charles Bukowski, love is a cat from heaven, you're just fucking wrong. Square Snapchat Ruby, in only a brief moment, skin flashes my face. Antidepressants, erectile dysfunction, sildenafil pills. Boyfriend has Tourette's. Dick, ass, ugh, lick, butt, fuck, slut, bitch, sorry, shit, dude. His red painted toes splayed across the Ford dashboard, tiny exit wounds. Uber Eats day shift. Smoothies fill my freezer bag like kidney transplants. Wearing a trench coat. It's just raining, I promise. I'm not a flasher. Pornhub on my phone. Finally found that one clip. I am so happy. Skinny vulture's peck through discarded McDonald's. I'm unemployed too. Young penis envy. Locker room shower slap ass. Guys spray their armpits. Bowling alley shoes. The game another excuse to get sloshed again. Holding his hair back, calling Earl on a white phone, 12 empty bottles. Scared herpes is death. No one will want to fuck me, another outbreak. Fuck yeah, baby. I don't want to live on this planet anymore. Elon, don't fail us. Road-killed raccoon corpse. The girl chooses a short stick to poke its eyeballs. All right, so now I'm going to read some kaiju poems, like inspired by all Godzilla movies. The title of this one is Coleman Bomar versus the Love of His Life. The atomic breath of morning sex. 3,000 feet tall, I kneel above you. No wonder Godzilla roars like this, more of a cry than lion-inspired. Lovely arms flap faster than fly wings. You shout my name and I trample your kids. And this is the second kaiju poem. This is Coleman Bomar versus Mecha Coleman Bomar. We actually get along pretty well. He has laser beams. And that's all. Thanks.
Coleman, I fucking love these. I want to talk about the Senryu first. Now, you read a few, so obviously this is a rare instance where I'm familiar with all of these because I just read your read the book earlier this week. But I like the fact you read a couple of my favorites tonight that you hadn't read at Misery Loves Company previously. One of which is the Vulture poem, which just really resonated with me personally for reasons that I'm sure nobody can guess, right? Being unemployed and given that the Vulture iconography, that's a huge part of misery tourism. But I love that poem. I was like, oh yeah, that's me. I'm that Vulture. But the other one you read from the Senryus that is one of my favorites from the collection is the Uber Eats kidney transplant poem. That poem is fucking unbelievable. It's sublime. It's amazing how perfectly you capture the essence of an intrusive thought that like I've had before, but never knew I had before. You know, that weird similarity between like the urgency the morbid urgency of a kidney transplant, and like a food delivery service, and the cooler bags, and the weird like symmetry between like it's just a really it's a fabulous fucking poem, as are all of the poems in that collection. Now, the kaiju poems, now I know I have a like psychic connection with Rudy that tells me he's going to say something about these kaiju poems, but I need to say, the title of the first one is just unbelievable, especially when framed as a kaiju poem. But even more than that, ignoring the title, like the entire way that you frame the relationship as if it's a kaiju battle, with all like the like overblown like emotional resonance of that, and excuse me, it's just fantastic, and connects to a theme that I've talked about with your work before, which is like your incredible ability to give like really mundane things and mundane moments this kind of incredibly like theatrical and like huge emotional quality. So like it's a great match for your style. Anyway, I'm rambling. I feel like Rudy does want to say something. I don't know why I say that, but I feel like he does.
Yeah, I love the kaiju poem. There's a line in there, you shout my name and I trample your kids. That's really, really great. Conjuring up the Gojira, with this image of like somebody's significant other just fucking like basically just trampling kids in all senses, like trampling on their childhood, trampling, maybe physically, assault, just really good like associational stuff that you're doing here. And I love your haiku or Senryu, I'm sorry, too, because they do that same thing where it's like, I guess, I mean, all haiku and Senryu do a lot with a little, but the associations you have with each line and the way they're sewed together really make these special. And they maintain that awesome, like, is like vulgarity, I guess, of like Senryu, Senryu the form, which is really cool, man.
Thanks a lot, y'all. Yeah, Rudy, I appreciate you understanding the Gojira reference, that shouting the name thing. That's cool. Thanks, y'all. Thanks a lot. And thanks for listening to me read everybody else.
Yeah, thank you, Coleman. So, Io or Ayo? I'm sorry. I know you told me how to pronounce your name once before, but I forgot. But you have a few pieces to read. So.
Yeah, just a couple. Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
Okay.
loud and clear.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you sound good, man.
and yeah, you were right with Io, but yeah.
Io,
Just,
do you have a Twitter handle you want me to at, or
let's see.
if
Yeah.
not, that's fine.
I mean, I do, but I'm not worried about it. So.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so gonna read a couple, and this is a poem, it's a few years old, called Elseworlds. I don't think if there's anything I needed to say about this. I don't think anything else other than it starts with two epigraphs by Carrie Brownstein, or rather from Carrie Brownstein. There is a gulf of misunderstanding between musicians and their fans, and often so much desperation that the musician can't possibly assuage, rectify, or heal. I knew how bottomless their need could be. How could I help them if I was just like them? I was afraid I might not be able to lessen their pain or live up to their ideals. I would be revealed as a fraud, unworthy and insubstantial. 1. Try to see this. The train is stainless steel with an orange stripe and a squiggle of letters. 2. I pretend I'm not nervous as the train dips back and forth under pale white light. Tucked into my backpack is a synthesizer. It's what started all this. It and her and the band and you. How did I get talked into this? Why did I think it would be a good idea? 3. The light seems to come from nowhere out here in the fog. It's as if the fog, like an amorphous god, has swallowed the sun, digesting all that brilliance into itself, into a wall like the barest touch of a cold, wet tongue. I light the cigarette and wait, hoping with each chemical breath to be as indifferent as she says I look. But I remember standing in the dark with her and watching you sing, watching your hands on the keys. We decided we loved you, who wouldn't? We speak for a few moments at the merch table. There isn't much there, you apologize. The band is still new but already a part of my life. There's not much to buy, but I want to take home some tangible piece of you. A $1 button, a sticker, a 7-inch record with only 2 songs. But I walk home from the bus giddy from the music, carrying the memory of your voice and the strands of excitement that bind my friend and I, that bind us to you. And this is our solution, this the only way to draw closer to you, by starting a band, by doing what you do. But I'm not a musician, my friend is, she's done this before, who am I? I imagine how it could be, I imagine that rush, I imagine provoking it, imagine being on the other side on the stage and you listening, returning home to the train, remembered my words. Or, what do we do to you with our eyes taking in every piece of you? What do they say? Do they speak of our need, or do they speak of a love harmless as rain? And this love bonds my friend and I as I hesitantly place my fingers over the keys, poised to piece together notes, to piece together another song. It captures us, ties us to this room. This circle is 3, me and her friend, behind the drums. A man I don't really know. He is as foreign to me as I must be to you, strange and filled with unknown potential. One day friend, possible enemy, a competitor for her affection, a competitor for yours. A man whose gaze, when turned on me, could more than like capture me in the spell of stone. I play, I trip over keys, but I think of the trains beneath us gaining speed between stations, wind over metal, metal catching light, reflecting light as swift as desire. And I am no longer in the room, no longer anywhere. I am carried on my music. I am at a show again, listening to your voice, my eyes closed as you sing, and I am in the fog and in the dark underground, feeling the sway of the train, wondering where you are, wondering if there is somewhere you listen to me, eyes closed. 5, try to see this. The train is not stainless steel, but silver and red, or blue and gold, or green and cream, or rides on rails in the sun, or is not a train at all. It's a crowded bus. I try to fit these feelings into the words as I sing, as I touch the keys, and think, in one of those worlds, you aren't in a band. In one of those worlds, you are my friend, and there, as here, I miss you. I thought there was something I was forgetting. That one's for LH. And I'll close with this, which is brand new and probably very much in progress. Maybe I thought of Elseworlds because there's a few parallels, I think, in this one. And this is for, well, if you know why I came to Misery Loves Company in the first place, you can probably guess who it's for. There is perhaps another version of you who put on one of her records, watch one of her videos, read any of the things she wrote every day, remember her in that way every day. It's not because you don't want to, it's because you want to too much. If not exactly listen or watch or read every day, it's that you want to remember her without your present self getting in the way. You want the moment in which it was new, when all was still possible, when you could have simply gotten on a plane and flown 400 miles, could have mentioned you were in town, casual, meaning we should hang out. Even broke as you are, the money, the distance suddenly doesn't feel like much of a barrier now that you are on opposite shores of that river of the dead. Because of her, you imagine the Styx like the LA River, concrete sides, a near permanent triple, setting of a million movies, it itself tombstone for the river that was, sometimes non-existent, sometimes a torrent, tearing through LA that was. People misunderstood the river as you think people misunderstood your friend. Some things are easy to miss when you aren't looking, a torrent, She might make a joke right here. A cataclysm, something just there, something used, and no, you are not alone in seeing beyond appearances, far from it. You do not feel special, though you know this is not literally true. You want to say, how could someone not love her? Thanks.
Those were both really beautiful, man. I really love the cadence of the way you delivered them. That kind of like that rhythmic, meditative cadence really pulled me into your reading. That last poem, man, the last poem hit really hard. And as you were reading, I realized it's almost been a year now. I think we're just a few weeks away from a year
Yeah.
from when Eris passed. And that one line in the poem about imagining Styx like the LA River, like imagining the river of the dead, like that empty concrete, like river, as opposed to like the way we usually imagine it. Oh man, that's just an incredible, indelible image. And both of these poems have just an incredible emotional resonance to them. I love in the first poem the way that you talk about like the artist, or in the case of the poem, like the musician's relationship with the fan through the lens of desperation, and how like the artist never is aware of that desperation, is aware of the desperation of what their audience wants from them, and can't, and is like uniquely afraid of being unable to provide some kind of remedy for that desperation, or and that kind of imposter syndrome stuff. That is just really, really emotionally effective stuff. And yeah, the last poem was absolutely heartbreaking. So just really, really beautiful stuff, man. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, well, yeah, thank you, of course, yeah, and as always for the kind words, yeah. If I don't think I said this, but yeah, it's been a while since I've been, yeah. Good to be back and glad to share a few things, and yeah, glad to, hear, yeah, what everybody before read too.
Yeah, no, glad to have you. Glad to have you. Glad to have you back. And the whole time you were reading, since you don't have your camera on, I was looking at the people up top, and the whole time you were reading that last poem, I was just watching Jeff like mournfully smoke a cigar in the dark, and somehow it was just really, really appropriate. Anyway, those were great, and you should definitely come back anytime, man. Come back.
Yeah, I'll try and make it back. Yeah, not make it quite as long next time.
No, that's a perfect time. Never worry about, people get insecure, I think, sometimes, or about the length of the pieces they read, but really we try to be open to any length, because like literature isn't like naturally available in like perfect bite-sized pieces for consumption in a reading like this, right? And we've had people read for half an hour, 40 minutes, and we've also had people come like GG and read like 1 3-line poem that takes 3 seconds. And I think it's, I don't know, I think it's wonderful to have a wide variety of lengths.
Right.
Anyway, thank you. Did anyone else want to read before we close up for the night? Or if not, we can call it.
I would like to end or close this out with an advertisement for Diablo 4.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Is it cool if I go?
Yeah. Do it.
Play Diablo 4. The best Skinner box you could imagine. And beyond that.
I don't know, man. I can imagine a pretty good Skinner box. I've experienced some pretty good Skinner boxes.
Anyway, play Diablo 4 because every other Skinner box is really gay.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna put the paid promotion tag up on this one on YouTube and pretend it was sponsored by Diablo 4. Okay, that's it. We're calling it there. This has been Misery Loves Company. We do this every Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Anyone is welcome to come and read their work. Anyone is welcome to come and just watch and hang out, as long as you don't troll. If you troll, we'll just throw you the fuck out. I don't care. Anyway, we tweet out the link right before we begin from our Twitter account at Misery Tourism. Yeah, fuck it. That's it. Thanks, guys. This was a really good one. Lots of great pieces were read, and it was a great night. All right, fuck it. We're done.